Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain how can we run multiple variable regression in Excel. So let's take the top 100 nonprofit organization dataset as an example. So now you are familiar with this dataset. We have three different variables: ranking, which is a performance, right? Attitudes towards nonprofit organization and willingness to donate to organizations. So our dependent variable here is willingness to donate, measures the donation intention. So in multiple variable regression, we have two independent variables, right? Because we suppose if a nonprofit organization ranked higher, people might be more willing to give to them, or if you hold a more positive attitude towards the nonprofit organizations, you are more likely to give. So these are all reasonable hypotheses. So we need to test them, right? So again, I suppose you already installed the data analysis. So click data analysis, choose regression, hit OK. Now again, here the dependent variable is willingness to give, right? So we start from D1 to D101. We have 100 observations, right? So let's check label first. Now here's the independent variables part, right? So we have two different independent variables. Now of course you can highlight them, right, by selecting both of them here, right? So that will be start from B1 to C101, right? So as I said, it's still doable if you only have 100 observations, right? But if, imagine this, you have 2,000 or even more, it will be very hard for you to do so. So let's just say, okay, we are going to input them, right? So start from B1 to C101. Now, you probably realize that to run a multivariable regression, you need to put all your independent variables next to each other, put them together. Otherwise, if for instance, you put ranking here and attitude here, so then you won't be able to input the X range, right? So the only thing you need to do for multivariable regression is put all the independent variables next to each other, right? Put them together. All right, so suppose we all did this, then you can say, okay, I'm going to select the output range. So I'm going to say, okay, as long as it's far away from the original data set, we should probably be fine. Let's just say I want. Now the other thing I want to emphasize is you can plot it to see how it works, but it really doesn't give you very intuitive explanation. Right, but we can try that. Then you hit OK. All right, so here shows you the result, right? Yeah, and okay, sorry about that. All right, now let's again the same thing. Let's check several things, right? Start from with p-value. P-value. Let me highlight this. And coefficients and R squared. All right. Now let's first look at the ranking, right? Since the p-value is larger than 0.05, which means there's no significant relationship between ranking and willingness to give. in other words, your ranking doesn't affect people's donation. While we already proved that there's a significant relationship between attitude and willingness to give. So this is 41 zeros before 3, right? So this is much less than 0.05. So in this case, we would say there's a significant relationship between attitude and willingness. All right, so 1 unit change in attitude means that if you increase your attitude score by 1 scale point, it will increase your willingness to donate by 1.06 if we take 2 digits, right? Scale points. All right, so let me repeat that again. So if your attitude towards nonprofit organizations increased by 1 scale point, it will increase your willingness to donate to nonprofit organizations by 1.06 scale points. And because this is a significant relationship, right? While for the ranking, we just simply say there's no significant relationship between ranking and the willingness to give. So in plain language, we would say if you hold positive attitudes towards nonprofit organizations, you are more willingly to give. And finally, let's check the R-square. And the model is quite good, right? Close to 85% of the total variations can be explained by this model. So we would very satisfied with this model. Okay. So this is how you're gonna expand from 1 independent variable to 2 independent variables, because both of the independent variables, we hypothesized that they will influence your willingness to donate. However, after running the regression and check the results, we only identified that attitude is actually a good predictor, while ranking has no relationship, no significant relationship with willingness to donate, right? So as I said, if you we probably can also check this plot, but that really doesn't make too much sense, right? Because you are going to plot 2 independent variables here, while this 2-dimensional figure just can't help you to accomplish that, right? So you have willingness as your dependent variable, while on the x-axis cell, right, you have x1 that's ranking, x2 that's attitudes towards nonprofit organizations, but it can't be plotted here. So as I said, so if it's a multiple variable regression, you just simply don't use the scatter plot, right? The table should be sufficient enough. Okay, so that will be all for the top 100 nonprofit organization. So I showed you how to run the multivariable regression in Excel, and that'll be all for